Alright, in today's class, I will be going over, um, I'll be going over, I don't know if he's in here, but I'm gonna go over some rules that help someone pass an Apex account, and I'm gonna show you why they work, like why they're so good, and just, it's gonna be more of like a discipline class, if that makes sense. Um, so yeah, so let me share my screen. Yep, I'm recording this. So, basically, wait for one more person to go. By the way, before I do get started, I just want to say today's the last day before like the new batch ends of buying my merch. Again, if you don't know where to go, just go to the announcements and then go to the announcements, go to this site right here, visit site, and then I'm pretty sure it's the last day. So you got a lot of different options here. Again, I'm like not making any profit off this. I think it's like $8 per profit for whatever people buy, and only like 7 people have bought something, or maybe like 10. But point is, I made these for myself, and if I thought they were pretty cool, so I decided to share them anyways. And I actually got a few for myself, and then I was like, oh, I'll maybe share these. So again, it's the last day. I think it says it says 1 day, 11 hours, and I'll have to restart the campaign. It says 8 sold, so I think I've sold 8. So made like what, $80, which obviously is nothing, but I still thought they're fun, so I made them anyways. This site I think sucks for selling stuff. I could have found a site for way cheaper, but I know the quality is good, and all I cared about is quality. So, and you're gonna see the reason why like I don't have any candles on here, you guys are probably wondering, is because like if you do want to wear these, it's so like the average person cannot tell it's trading related, because in my opinion it's a little cringe, but that's just me. So like if you were just a random person on the street, would you be able to tell it's just trading related? No, not at all. Like there's no way. So I'm not putting any candlesticks on them or anything. I just think that's just dumb. I know someone said, "Oh, put a candlestick on them," but no, I'm not doing that. So yeah, all right, let's get started. Um, it looks bad. Yeah, I mean that's like the only. I think you're the first ever person to say that. So probably just an opinion thing. I'm not really sure. The only other negative feedback I got was having the ad on them. So I made ones without the ad. But that was the only other negative feedback. But all right. Deli. Yeah, you like the little D, don't you? Don't you? Early special. You want the little? You want me to put the little D on there? All right. All right. Let's get started. So the other day, this applies to if you trade a personal account. This is obviously going to apply as well. But the other day, okay, this person who is pretty good, who I've taught a while, they sent me a certificate of then getting paid off $500. And they said it's based off my teachings, okay? And this is basically what they said. So it's just, hey, want to thank you for everything. They're just dick riding me here. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. um, and yeah, so they got paid off $500 from my things, and they said like every single live stream I care about, like I'll literally answer every question. I do not leave a question unanswered. So obviously, just you can see they sent me that. So I was curious because the one thing I posted in my Discord over the weekend was this. So I posted this in my private Discord. But if we go to my rules template, I kind of posted this. I said, just from observing the last few weeks, we have really good traders here. A lot of you grasp the content well. But the best traders who win a lot are the ones not getting payouts. You guys get a bunch of winning gays, and then the second you lose, you try to make it back. And I think that is a lot of your guys' problem. If you can understand the reversion model, or whatever model you're trading. So a lot of us, or a lot of you guys, you come to my classes, you do understand the inversion model, and you do understand how to trade it. And what seems to be your problem is you either one start trading the inversion model, then see all these other models, and you try to trade them, then you start taking losses, or two, it's like if you're just trading silver bullet. It's like if you're trading the silver bullet, trade the silver bullet. Don't jump to my inverse model just because you think it's an inverse model. Just trade the silver bullet. And then I go, you're greatest buy in the model. Then you take one loss and immediately try to get it back. And I can at like 10 people I know in my private Discord. You do this. They're great traders. They get a lot of winning green days in a row, and then they blow up an account just from over leveraging when they try to get it back. So I said, you have to understand, you have to lose, you have to marry the probabilities of losing. And I go, so what if you have a red day after 10 green days in a row? Don't over leverage to get it back. If you think about it, if you 10 green days in a row, then one red day, well, does that likely mean based off statistics for the next, what does that likely mean based off statistics for the next 10 days? Right? Probably majority green. So if you can think about that, okay, I had 10 green days in a row and I have a red day. It's like, okay, well, even if you have 2 or 3 red days in the next 10 days, you're still 7 green days. Okay, so like you have to think about it from a probability standpoint. So I kind of said that, and then someone sent me a DM, obviously, and I showed you of him getting a payout. So I just want to kind of go over his rules, and maybe this would help some of you guys. So he basically sent me it. I started asking him, I'm like, okay, how many cons did he go per setup? And I was questioning him because there's people in my Discord who have gotten payouts, but I feel like they've already been profitable before joining my Discord. Like there's guys in my Discord, just to name a few. Like I'm not sure. I think Powell posted a payout. I'm not sure if he's in here, but like there's a guy named Trash Panda who's gotten like 30K in payouts, and generally they kind of knew what they were doing, but they joined my Discord because they just thought it was a nice community. Okay, so like they kind of knew what they're doing. I think this is like the first case of someone actually joining my Discord. And I remember like he used to ask dumbass questions. Like he had no idea what he's doing. And I kind of taught him everything I knew, right, in the Discord. And this was kind of the first instance of okay, he took what he learned and he got a payout from it. And that's why I asked him specifically. I don't really ask some of these other people who've gotten payouts because like some of them kind of do their own thing. They just kind of listen to my commentary. But this is like strictly using the inversion model and based off what I taught them. So I asked him to basically send him like a how did you do this? What was the risk? Whatever to get the payout. Okay. So I'm just gonna go over them. So he put a general rules, he put an IFEG model rules, and yeah, that's what he put. So what he did to get this payout is on a 25K account, what was the max loss per trade? 75. So he traded micros obviously. Okay, and I'm just gonna go over an example of this. Okay. He traded micros. Okay, and he did a max loss per trade $75. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, basically, if you long, so let's say he wants to long this, all right, and the stop loss is below this low, and he's targeting up here, which this is not really, I mean, this is kind of an inversion model, I guess, but not really mine. So basically, what he did is he's like, okay, if I want to wear 75, he has to calculate how many micros can I take for me not to go below negative 75 if we were to hit this low, right? And if you count the amount of points here, it's about 59.18, so I'll round that up to 59.20. And then it goes down to about 15.883. So that's about, let's say, 35 points. Okay, so 35 points. Okay. Wait, 20? Yeah, that's about 35 points. So 35 points, okay, times one contract for an MNQ is $70. So if we go down 30 points or 35 points on MNQ and he's in one contract, he would be down 70. So I kind of set up like this, you'd only be able to take one contract. Okay, and that's literally all he did from what I've read. Now let's say you went like this and you're risking about 20 points instead. Well, 20 points times 2, because it moves $2 per contract, is $40. So if he took one contract and lost this play, he would be down 40. So does that mean he could maybe go to 2 contracts? Yeah, because that would be about an $80 loss. So you could go to you could go to 80 in that instance. So that's how he calculated his risk. He did the same thing every time. He didn't change anything up. He didn't just randomly risk different sizes for different setups, right? He didn't. It's not like he risked a random size for a different setup. Okay, and that's what he did. And what you can do is you can go to create limit order, and you can just say how much do I want to risk. And if I say $80, it'll switch to 2. If I say 200, it'll switch to 5. So I'm guessing use this tool, but $80, let's say goes 2. Okay, so that's what he did. Pretty simple. Again, I want you to realize he never switched anything up. Okay, that's what he did. All right, so his max loss per trade was 75. So I was kind of asking him, like, well, if it was 75, how many losses could you take a day? And he said 2. So on a 25K count, and by the way, this is like a 50K count, just double it. So on a 25K count, max loss per day is 150, which means what? Which means if he's risking 75 per trade, he can only lose 2 setups, and then he's done. Okay, and he even said the importance of having max loss, okay, which is good, and this prevents overtrading, so this is just really good. If you don't have a max loss per day, well then you don't really have any boundaries set for yourself, which means you're not going to really be able to do anything. Okay, so I think 2R is a really good general rule. If you take 2 losses in a row, if I generally take 2 losses in a row, I'm done for the day. I haven't taken 2 losses in a row in a while, but if I ever do, I'm just done. If it's like a loss and a break even, I'll maybe take a trade, but if it's a loss and a loss, like full loss, I'm done. So that was his other rule. And obviously this is important. He only said trading when fully focused. I know many of you are like, I know a lot of you guys are older and you guys are a little older population, so most of you are adults. But for the people who in here who are like 25 and under, who do still hang out with your friends like every night, and you're not in relationships and you're just going out to bars, whatever it may be, having fun with your friends, like make sure you're not waking up and you're coming into the market after going to the bar and coming home at 4 a.m. Just skip that day, just maybe demo. But if you're not fully focused or you're texting someone or whatever, just don't trade. Okay, that was an important point because you're going to be impulsive, and if you get impulsive, you're going to take setups that are not setups. Okay, so that's an important thing. This is very good. Decrease size. Okay, if you're kind of going in iffy to a setup, or you're going in like if you're going iffy to a setup, he decreased the size. Okay, like if you're in profit and let's say you take 3 wins in a row, never increase your size if you're up so much for the day. Just keep decreasing over time. A really good example of this was on Friday when I was trading. I was on an eval account and I was up like 750 for the day. And what I did, I was like, okay, I'm up 750 today. I'm just gonna risk some profit. So I started taking like 2 to 3 contract micros per trade, and I lost 20. I lost like 40. I gained 50 or something. I ended up finishing the day up 700. So after going up and down, I ended up going from 750 to 700. But is that fine? Yeah, because I was still up 700 a day. But it shows you like if you're up that much, just decrease your size. It's not okay to you can't just increase your size. It just makes no sense, even when you lose. Um, and like let's say you are a little less confident about a setup and you did take 1 loss, maybe just decrease your size so the second play, if it's a loss, just be done. And even if you do decrease your size, you're not hitting that 150 or whatever it is. Maybe you're down like 125 instead, which is a better case scenario. But if you're still feeling pretty confident, make sure you are taking the full size play. Okay, that is important. You don't want to take on 2 solid setups, you can't take a full size and then a half size. On 2 solid setups, just take full size. Okay, because if one's a loss and one's a win, you're gonna be break even or you're gonna be up. If your R is like 2 or higher, you're gonna be up anyways. Even if it's like 1.00001, you're still gonna be in profit. If it's a 1-to-1 RR, then you're obviously gonna be break even. But decreasing size instead of increasing is important. Okay, especially when you're a little less confident or if you're in profit for the day and maybe you want to just play with profits. Okay. Journaling your trades. I know this takes a lot out of the day, and I don't really do this as much anymore, I will admit. I used to journal my trades way more, but I kind of figured out my problems when I journal trades, and I kind of don't need to do that anymore. I probably will eventually journal trades again. I think it is important. I will go back to that at some point. But I'm in college. It's very hard for me to do that at night if I'm doing homework, whatever. But I'll eventually go back to that. I did that for like a while. I did that like for 6 months, and it helped me a lot. And I was like, okay, well, I'm pretty much profitable. Why do I need to journal trades? And I'm still profitable not journaling trades, but I think journaling trades is what helped me more. Maybe I could be a little more profitable if I did journal trades. But yeah, I'll eventually go back to that. But I think that's important if you do have time. If you don't have time, that's one thing. But maybe you could have like a little just maybe just screenshot the setup you took and then just what you could do is instead of journaling your trades and setting up like a whole Excel spreadsheet, what you can do is you can literally just start a new private Discord. Okay, you can literally just create your own Discord and just have like a private Discord for yourself, just one member only. Don't invite anyone, and journal your trades in there. And then if you don't have time right now, just put a screenshot. It takes like 2 seconds of the setup you took, and then maybe in like a few months when you do have time, it's just like okay, now I'll take what I tracked in the private Discord and I'll journal those now. Okay, so that makes sense. All right. So that was that. So that was his discipline rules, and this goes for any setup you're trading, any silver bullet, I don't EMAs, whatever you're trading. Okay. Um, and I think the most important thing, if I had to pick one most important thing of this, it's definitely 1.2. Okay, max loss per day. Because if you don't have a max loss per day, you're gonna easily blow up your account. Um, and yeah, a lot can go wrong. So I think this is the most important rule out of them. And then winning day, like if you're, I would say like for when you're winning, just stop when you're satisfied. Some people don't know how to do that, but obviously if I'm up like 2 or 3 trades and I'm green for 2 or 3 trades, you'll see me switch to demo, and I do that a lot on my live stream. I'll be up like 3 wins, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm just probably gonna demo this one or something. Or I'll be like, well, if I wasn't done for the day, I'd probably take the setup, but I'm not going to. I've said that a lot. That's one of my main sayings. But yeah, if you're up like 2 or 3 wins, just be done. And then maybe if you are up that, just do like a quarter size if you're up that much. Like I was up 700 on an eval on Friday, so I started going really light and stuff just to see if I can make a little more, but not risk as much. All right, so the IFEG model rules. These were his rules, and it literally sounded like I wrote all these, but he actually did write all these, so it just really shows how much he's learned from me. So a stop loss is always a close below the IFEG. Okay, for him. If nothing else, gives a better chance for stop loss, like an order block. So I've done classes on the past where sometimes in an IFEG, there'll be like an order block lining up with it. So this, for example, so instead of having like a close below the fair value gap, you could do the stop loss like a close below like the mean threshold maybe. So like this is the mean threshold of an order block. You could have the stop loss here instead of a close under, and it just tightens the risk a little bit. But like he said, if there's no order block present, you can't really do that. It has to be close below the IFEG. All right. So that was his 2.1. His 2.2 was he doesn't long with equal lows below and he doesn't short with equal highs above. So if he sees an inversion set up, I can find a really good example right now that happened, I think, last Wednesday. So last Wednesday we kind of ran into this problem a little bit. So last Wednesday we hit equal lows here. Okay. And we also had buy set above. So the same concept applies. We had buy set above. I forgot where it was. I think they're relative equal highs or something. And we'd sell side below. So this is a situation where you're not gonna be able to take a long here if there's equal lows below. So even though there's buy set above, there was an inverse fair value gap. I'm not gonna go on the smaller time frame, but it was basically this right here. And I know you can't see it, and it looks like 3 candles, but on the 3-minute, this was actually 1 candle. So he wasn't allowed to take this, okay, because there's equal lows below. And just like I've said in the past, these setups with these equal lows below get wrecked way too much. All right, so what he does is He doesn't long or short with equal lows or equal highs above. What you want to do is wait till one of them are hit. So this one was hit, and then you look for the short to the equal lows. And this was an inversion setup. This is more of like a momentum inversion setup where you could have shorted like right here. But you get the point. He didn't short with equal lows, and he didn't long with equal lows, and he didn't short with equal highs above. Another thing I'd maybe add to that is low resistance liquidity. If you ever have a low resistance liquidity line, it looks really algorithmic, like a trend line. Do not short. This one actually happens to work, but generally these will not work. Okay, whenever you have low resistance liquidity, I don't care if you get a textbook short setup, I do not short because this is too much engineer liquidity. So going along with equal highs and equal lows, that's something I would add to that maybe. Don't long with a bearish SMT and don't short with a bullish SMT. Okay, so if we look on YM, if we go to the 1 minute here, okay, there was a very clear example of this on Friday. Right here, we had a big bullish SMT. Okay. And from a 2022 model perspective, right, based on that rule, we get a quote unquote 2022 model right here, short, but it doesn't work. Well, why doesn't it work? Because there's bullish SMT. Could have this worked? Yes, it could have. But does he short it? No, because there's a bullish SMT. So if you ever see a bullish SMT or a bearish SMT, just stay out. Try to go in the direction with the SMT rather than against it, because if you shorted this thinking it was a 2022 model, you would have gotten wrecked because YM made a high, or NQ made a higher high, YM made a lower low. So just be careful of this. This is a really good rule and it'll prevent you from taking bad trade setups. All right. So 2.4 and 2.5. So he always set a stop loss to break even after hitting internal buy side. This is something that I always preach, meaning what? This is gonna save you more times than not. Sometimes it just, again, it sometimes does hurt you a little bit, and the trade does eventually go that way. But it's helped me a lot more than not. Okay, so what that means is, let's say you take this IFEG here in NQ. Okay, let me just scroll in a little bit. All right, let's just say you take this IFEG in NQ. Okay, no matter what, if he's targeting here or here, wherever it may be, after we hit that internal high, which would be the first high since the fair value gap was formed right here, move your stop to break even. Okay, because most of the time what happens is if we end up coming back up to this high and then going back down to your entry, most of the time we dump. Now this case we don't, but this wasn't the greatest price action. And again, like I said, this is not going to help you sometimes, but it's going to help you more times than not. And it tightens the risk. It gives you a free trade, and it actually does save you from a lot of losses. Okay, I think saving yourself from losses rather than getting more wins is most important, because if you're saving yourself from more losses, you're just going to be profitable no matter what, because those wins are going to keep adding up. And it's kind of like in a game, like how do I explain this? Like in Fortnite, like if you win 3 games in a row without getting killed once, your KD goes up like 26 because you've technically not died one time. Okay, same situation here. It's like if we close above and we hit internal liquidity, your profit factor is going up like 100 million because you're still not taking a loss, if that makes sense. It's like if you were to do this in FxReplay, your profit factor would still be very, very high, but then the second you take a loss, it like drops in half. So that's why I do that. But you can clearly see your first target to hit here, maybe you scaled half, and then he gets stopped at break even. Okay, but overall, this rule will generally save you. A lot of times you go back down to the entry, where you end up getting stopped out anyway, so I just move this out to break even. Alright, so that's that. He said never enter the same position after being stopped out. Okay, that's a really good rule. I always preach that to people. Okay, if I'm ever in a position and I get stopped out, I generally do not re-enter. If I'm like on a I don't care account, sometimes I will, but on my main or personal, I just wait for the next setup. I wait for there to be a new draw on liquidity, new structure, new whatever it is. I don't really re-enter, because if I'm following my plan, well then I got stopped out. So why would you even re-enter? Okay. Only take trades during the New York game session 8:30 to 11, preferably 9:30 to 11. So I always tell people, like, I do start trading at 8:30, but the times I've actually placed a trade at 8:30 to 9:30 is not very much. Um, Once every like 2 weeks I'll do it, but typically not. Typically, I think if you can wait for the opening volatility, that's like the best spot to get in, because sometimes the 8:30 to 9:30 kind of time cucks you a little bit. What happens is you'll get in, it'll stop you, and then it'll go in your way at open. So, and then it gives you a better entry to open, and you're like, oh, I already got stopped. I can't even enter anymore. So I don't know. I would, maybe if you don't have good success, maybe go back in your trades, track your success rate from 8:30 to 9:30 versus like 9:30 to 11. Okay, and if you are decent at trading 8:30, then that's fine. But I don't know. I like to wait for 9:30. I mean, most days I do. There's like once every 2 weeks so I'll get in a trade before. Typically, the only times I get in a trade before is when we have like CPI or NFP at 8:30, because we'll get a lot of volatility after that. But yeah, other than that, I really don't. Don't trade Wednesday/Thursday before NFP and the day before FOMC. So day before, I think the morning session before FOMC is fine, but definitely not the afternoon before FOMC, and then the day of FOMC. So that is a little extreme, but it really depends. But that's his rules. So if you want to follow those, I would suggest that. When taking inversion, we need energetic displacement above/below fair value gap that turns into an IFAG. I can see this being a little more subjective. I mean, I would definitely consider these two candles energetic displacement. They're not like they're not consolidation candles, but like we're not just randomly consolidating to get there. You can clearly see like the market's clearly going to straight up, not doing this and then closing over finally. So his rule is he likes a bigger push, like just a single push rather than a consolidation over for value gap. This one was a great example as well. See how like in this one we go straight up like that. Okay, and then down, then up, right? We don't do that weird we don't just consolidate up and then close over after like 50 candles. We just kind of go right up. It clearly shows this does not want to work, and then we go up. Okay, so that was his rule as well. Don't short an old FVG blindly on the sell side of the curve, and don't long old FVGs blindly on the buy side of the curve. I've gone over this in many videos, but what this basically means is, and you shouldn't have a problem with doing this with taking inverses. What that typically means is, if we ever leave a fair value gap from like, let me see if there's an example on Euro USD. Oh, let's go. We hit sell side on Euro. Oh wait, no, we didn't. We should. Let's say like we're coming down. Right. Let's say we're coming down and we're all the way like down here, and you see a fair value gap from like weeks ago, not like this one right here. What that basically means is don't just blindly long this because it's just there sitting unfilled from weeks ago. Same thing with this. This is what I used to try to do. I used to try to long these all the time, and I'll be like, oh, old fair value gap from 50 million weeks ago. I'm going to try a long here. They're like 50-50. Half of them work, half of them don't. Just don't do it. I like the fresh fair value gaps. The fresh inverses are going to be better. Like, again, you could argue like, oh, this is technically an inverse / BPR. Okay, but it doesn't have to work because there's low resistance equity under it as well. So just don't blindly long these. Make sure you're looking for like a confirmation setup out of these, and that will treat you well. So, yeah, those were his rules. I'm gonna. I think they're pretty good rules in my opinion. Like I said, I was questioning them a lot because this is kind of my first instance of having like someone pass a payout after like what I've told them. Like this is everything that I teach. Okay, nothing's changed. Like yeah, this is literally everything. So you can see it worked for him, but the the problems people are gonna have here is they're gonna do the thing where they take a bunch of wins in a row and then they over leverage and they will not follow the rule where they don't stop after the max loss per day. This is the number one rule people will break. But if you can be disciplined enough to follow this, you're going to be fine. And yeah, I definitely just recommend doing that. Let me just check chat real quick. All right. Yep, Notion is a great journaling program. Again, if you have time. It's tough to do things. It's tough to write things on Notion if you're coming home from a long day of work and you want to watch football, you want to watch whatever. It's tough to just go into Notion, but I mean the most successful traders do that. So it's really up to you. If you can find time, do it. But an easier way to journal would be like posting a screenshot of a setup inside, like in like a private Discord or something. So Keanu said he'll post a great template. Yeah, or you could screenshot, put it in a folder in Notion, and then review it over the weekend. And Cerna says he puts a little summary in the chart with TradingView and then screenshots it. Mike says, okay, this is great. So Mike says a lot of people know where they went wrong immediately. Reviewing trades, meh. What is more important is reviewing if you followed your rules daily. That's what I journal now. I even get smiley face stickers on good days. I follow all the rules. This reinforces discipline, risk management, patience, walking away at a reasonable loss, trading windows, etc. So this is a great point. If you've watched me in chat, I'll like there's times in chat like even last week I'll literally just at people. I'm like, I remember I typed exactly this. So this guy, he finally just got a payout. His name is Sonheg. I don't know if he's here or not, but he finally just got a payout after just blowing up account after account. And he basically said, he's like, I joined so many discords after. He used to be in my discord in the summer, and like he used to ask all these questions. And just if this sounds like you, look. So he used to be old. Okay, this is from 3/3/2023. So he was in my Discord last January, February, March. And this is about the time where I started my Discord. I think I started it last like February, so it's almost been a year, not quite. And he joins Discord. He was like down 12K, had 4.2K left in account, and he had no idea what he's doing. You can even see destroyed your account, about to go 150 miles per hour into a wall right now, and he was a mess. This is last year, okay. And then I think he's gonna try this ICT shit now, learn it for real because he was like questioning it. He didn't really know what it was. He said he used the 50 SMA on one chart, but he says, yeah, I don't talk ICT call yet. Okay, whatever. But you can see he was kind of a mess last year. And what ended up happening is he left because he just gave up. He joined back in like July. He kind of understood a little more. And then he left in July and he said he joined like 20 other Discords other than mine. And I was like, okay, that's fine, I guess, because that's what I used to do too. And he recently came back and he's like, okay, and I recognize his name. I'm like, yo, I recognize your name. You were in here, right? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, why do you join back? And he goes, I joined like 20 other Discords, and after joining all of them, like I realized your hit rate is just unmatched, and like this is the best one by far. I'm like, oh well, thank you. Again, he's just dick riding me. I get it, but that's what he said. And if you look at his message now, okay, if I go to the Nix's chat, okay, and go to new. Okay, let me just go to new real quick. He just posted that he finally got a payout. So 12/1/2023, let's go. Got a payout of $1,900. Okay, so he just literally made back like he just made 1,900. Okay, and imagine how many topstep accounts he probably bought. Like, so it probably is. He's probably in profit on prop firms now. And again, you got to think about it. He probably didn't fail more than 10, but if you think about it, if he bought 10 accounts for what, $100, that's $1,000 he spent on buying accounts. He finally passed one, okay, and he got 1,900, so he'd still be 900 in profit. So he's risking 100 to make like 2,000 basically, and he finally gets a payout. But you're gonna see like Again, like I even question him, like, "Are you happy you joined back now?" And he's like, "Yeah, best decision I made, whatever." And again, this is just me, not like don't go join my if you're not in my private. I would recommend not joining right now. We have a lot of members. So again, I'm not doing this to promote or anything. I'm just doing like a real life example of what it's gonna be for a lot of you guys. Like this is a real life example of someone who literally said like down 12K, like about to go 150 miles per hour into a wall, whatever, burnt out. Like, look, I'm a fucking failure. He said, like, this is probably a lot of you guys, and he even said it's not losing that's a problem. It was his discipline. All right, and he says a lot of this negative stuff, and you can just see how he kind of turns himself around. Finally gets a payout, which getting paid out on a real account versus a prop firm is way different. It is extremely hard to get paid out on a prop firm. It is so easy to make money on a personal account. Even if you get one lucky win. So the fact that he got a payout tells me, okay, he's probably a lot more disciplined now. You have to be disciplined to get a payout. Okay, you can't just be lucky on you can be lucky on a personal account. You can't be lucky on a funded account. You have to be quote unquote lucky 5 days in a row, and that's very difficult to do unless you know what you're doing. So it's a really good example. And I always used to ask him every day. I'm like, just like how Mike said, I literally tagged him in chat. I'm like, yo, how do you do today? And one day he replied, oh, I'm down 700. And I'm like, awesome. Did you follow your rules? And I knew he didn't, but I was just kind of saying that because I wanted to see what he'd say. And be like, no, I didn't. And I'm like, well, no. What I said was, I'm like, awesome. So $700 is your max loss per day, I'm assuming? And he goes, no, it's like 500 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, so you didn't follow your rules. Okay, then I don't care. So I never asked him, I'm like, what setups? I never asked him what setups he took. I asked him, I'm like, okay, so you followed your rules of $700 is your max money you could lose. And he usually replies something like, no, I went over it. And I asked him that like 3 days in a row, and he went over every time. So definitely doing that helped him probably a little bit. But again, I don't care what setups you're taking at the end of the day. I know a lot of you know how to trade the inversion model, and even if you don't, it's pretty easy to pick up in a couple months. Once you do pick it up, that's when I care about, okay, I don't care if you what setup you took at this point. I help a lot of the newer guys with the setups because they don't know what they're doing, but like for the people who know what the inversion setup is, I'm like, yeah, great setup. Did you execute it? Did you follow your rules? Like that's what I care about. And again, that's just so much better. How do you know which direction the SMT is going? There can only be a bullish SMT at the bottom. There can only be a bearish SMT at the top. That's if that makes sense. I would, so for you, you're someone who probably doesn't have experience with SMTs. I'd probably watch my SMT video on YouTube or anyone's. I'm not going to promote my videos, but you can literally just type in SMT on YouTube. You'll probably see someone's, and there's probably like a 5-minute video that explains them. Trading in December is fine. Maybe size down a little bit. I probably won't be on much of my personal account this month, but I'll still probably trade it occasionally and just probably size down just because of holidays. I know you got good Notion templates. I do not. You can get all. So Mike said you can get all the skills in the world, but without discipline, you'll fail. Yep. So yeah. So Mike's a guy who I still think I have a private channel for him. Okay, this was his private channel from last year, 4/14/2023, and he posted a bunch in here. And look, I remember he said he posted his motion on each one. Okay. And if you guys want, like if you are in my premium Discord and you have a special request, I can start a private channel for you. And I can review it as well. I mean, I hope like 100 million people don't ask me, but I've done these actually for a couple of people. Kent was another person who asked me as well. But again, this was way back. And he goes, emotions, none. Emotions, none. Emotions, none. Let's go to his first post. All right, this is a pretty big post. So look, he said all this. I'm not gonna He basically says that's it. 2 fucking rules I need to 100% stick to, right? If I don't really care about all this other stuff about the cushions, whatever, as long as he's talking about, okay, I need to stick to these rules, that's all I care about. Emotions. This was the only trade I've seen so far today. Took it on paper, and then he just kind of writes his motions. But again, I'm not going to get into private details. But again, it's just, um, you can see like he was trying to follow his rules, and that was the main thing that was helping him. It wasn't the setup, right? You get to a certain point, he knows all the setups. Like I could ask Mike right now, like, look for me, look for a silver bullet setup, look for a standard deviation setup, and he could go to the chart, find one in 2 seconds because he knows all that. But it's really the discipline and the rules following once you take that setup that you really have to get in sync with. Okay, so the 5-day payout rule is on topstep. You have to make $200 for 5 days straight once you get a funded account, and that's the only way you can request a payout. So you can't just full port and get lucky. Honestly, not really. The having a high win rate hurts me, or it did hurt me. Like having a high win rate hurt me because the second I took a loss, I was mad. I think having like a 50% win rate helps. Like having a lower win rate helps some people because it's like, well, if they backtest enough, they know their win rate's like 50%, so it's like they won't even be mad if they lose a trade. My win rate's so high that I tend to get a little tilted if I ever lose a trade, but it's not as bad. It used to be way worse. I don't really care at this point because I know my win rate's so high, but honestly, it's like it's easier for our traders to be green because they back tested for so long and they've traded the market for so long that they know like, okay, if this fails, I know the next one might win, blah blah blah. So they don't really care that much, and it kind of helps them. But no, different prop firms have different rules. This is just a rule for Top Step. Apex, it's 10 days. You have to have 10 consistent days. It's not a money amount you have to meet on Apex, but it's just 10 consistent days in general. Um, You can't, and the thing that sucks with Top Step, if it's like a 50K count, you can only do a max of 2 contracts, whether it be an MNQ or NQ. So it kind of sucks because it forces you to trade NQ if you want the 200. Yep, exactly, Mike. Do I like Apex or Top Step more? Apex because I'm a good trader. Top Step if you're newer and you're not as consistent. Because if the trailing drawdown gets you on Apex, you'll suck. Yeah, top subs 5 days doesn't have to be in a row. It could be like you could have like 3 winning days, 2 losing days, then 2 winning days, and be good. Um, there's a guy named TV Swept in here. He's at a long journey in my Discord as well. He was up like 10K on a top step, and he had one more $200 day to go. And I told him, I'm like, all right, you're up 10K. You have one more $200 to get a dough. Just literally risk 200 for the next 4 days. I told him like risk 200 because even if you have 4 losing days and then finally a $200 winning day, you're up. You're up 9,000. Like you could literally flip a coin. You could flip a coin and get a payout. And what happened? He ended up going full leverage the next day after losing a count, and he blew it. So he's still got to master that, but I don't think he's in here. But again, it's a lot. No, you can have losing days in Apex, but if you do, it's you're eating into your trailing drawdown. Really, Sniper? Yeah, that was I've been training for like 4 years, whamily. Where should you start learning the inversion model? I mean, go to study up here, right here, and then scroll up. It's this right here. All 10 videos with my strategy in one playlist. And I'm gonna make like a course that's obviously gonna be paid, probably over my college break, and I'll make it like a lot more organized and stuff like that. And obviously it won't be free, but again, if you can just watch those videos, that's gonna help you the best, in my opinion. But yeah, like if you have a nice profession, you have money to spend. I mean, I'm making a course eventually just to narrow down, like just to organize it better, stuff like that, and that'll probably be out in the next like 3 months. But for now, just stick to my YouTube. I know my YouTube is all over the place and it's not organized, but you'll like pick up these little different gems from different videos, whatever it may be. If you get funded, no, you pay like a one single lifetime fee. And then if you get paid out, it refunds you the lifetime fee. No, ICT does not. He mentions the inversion fair value gap in the 2023 mentorship and doesn't really teach much about it, so I kind of made my own rules. So, yeah, I'm just going to go over my weekly outlook. I'm still kind of looking for the same thing as last week. I would love a pullback to this fair value gap and then buy side. If we don't get it, it's fine, but still bullish regardless. So if we come down here on like Tuesday and make a low of day Tuesday here and then go back up, that's gonna mean we should go to buy side because that would mean what weekly profile Tuesday/Wednesday is generally low of week. So if we made like a low in here on Tuesday, that would be ideal. Um, if we go right up the buy side on like Tuesday and make a high up here, that would mean the rest of the week is bearish probably. So depending on which one of these lows or highs we hit first, I'll probably be bearish if we hit this one on Tuesday, bullish if we hit this one on Tuesday. It's so I really can't make like a solid weekly outlook until I see one of these two things happen because obviously the daily's just chopping, so it's really I can't really predict anything here. Gun to my head, this would be my prediction, but if the opposite happens, I would be bearish the rest of the week. I'm not sure what that means. No, I do not trade Thursdays and on a few week. I just demo Thursdays. So like this Thursday, I'll just be demo only. They talked about who on topstep TV. Who they talk about? Can you guys hear me? Okay. So Neil, wait, who they talk about? Wait, did they talk about TV sweat? I'm pretty sure he DM'd me. Let me see if I can find the DMs. Oh, he deleted it. No. Okay, he said this. So he had 13,000 something on the account, and it's day 3. So he needed 2 more $200 days. And I don't. So I said, do this. I said, look, this is what I said. I said, do max loss 200. Do not go below magnet 200 per day. If you do, stop. He goes, that's pretty easy for me to do because I limited my broker. And I don't think he got it. He talked to me in Discord later that day. He never got it. But yeah, you can just see how troublesome that is for him. The 5-day rule is you have to get $200 5 days in a row, or just 5 days in general. And if you're in profit, you can request a payout. So if you're up $100 after the 5 days, and you have $500 days, you could request half of that $100. Yes, this is recorded. Also, the other thing I want to say about the weekly outlook is this: if we close above this bearish for our fair value gap, I'm probably bullish to be honest. So it's all going to depend on this. If we close above this, we should at least hit here. Oh wait, not here. We should at least hit here. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking. No, there's not pin. That's a nice thing. I look at YM sometimes, probably like once every 2 weeks, just for SMTs. Typically, I don't look at it. Thoughts on ES? Same thing. ES still is buy side above. So ES still has buy side right here. I want to see a hit. But the question is whether we get a retracement this week or not. I don't know if we will. Like I said, if we close above this 4 hour, we're going to go straight up to here. So I would risk like 250. Per trade, I would do 150. Per day, do like 250 flare. Meaning, if you take a losing trade, size a little down on the second trade. So, yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it for now. I think that's all I got. Appreciate you guys all coming. Again, make sure to follow your rules this week. Okay, I'm gonna ask a bunch of people like, have you? I don't care what setups you took, because if you know what you're doing, then you know what you're doing. But if you follow your rules, then that's better. So, yeah, I'll see you guys later. Enjoy football, and I would no, I. It depends on how much you want to risk, Kazoo. It doesn't. The number of contracts don't matter. It depends on what the risk is. So, all right, I'll see you guys later. Peace. This will be uploaded to YouTube.